Exciting.
Hello.
Hello. So everyone, hope you're having a great week. Today I'm here talking with Darla Ledoux about sourced visibility. And I'm really excited to introduce you to Darla. It's a very special woman. I think we'll be going, just to let you know, Darla, for about 30 minutes, but 45 at the outset.
All right.
So, and just to tell you a little bit about Darla before we dive into our conversation and my connection. Darla's been my business mentor since I attended Shift to Feel Live in May, 3-day retreat. And I've read her amazing book, Shift the Field, which is absolute treasure trove of information for transformation leaders. And then I, also am doing her certified source leader, and I'm now a certified source leader, a transformational coach, and I'm doing the next retreat level soon as well. So, I'm working with you, Darla, has really helped me to own and trust my magic and see how I'm all about shifting energy, up level all my coaching and group programs, and working lighter, my business, becoming even more powerful as a transformation coach, and shifting some very deeply ingrained patterns around not being enough and opening to receive more. So, and just to tell people a little bit about you, you're a transformational business coach, recovering engineer, author of the Shift the Field, and founder of Sourced, which really helps transformational leaders like me and those in my community to how to market, how to sell, and how to deliver the deep transformation. So, and a couple of things that I really appreciate about you, Darla, that I want to mention is, one is you're kind of, and I probably haven't told you this before, you're kind of like the Holy Grail. I know me and a lot of other transformational leaders were kind of going, where is people teaching business and transformation really integrated? And we just never found it. There are great people teaching business stuff, and they teach mindset and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people who teach transformation with a bit of business, but we're always kind of go, no, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. And I feel like you really embody, and teach aligned transformational business in a way that I'd looked for years, but hadn't found. So
thank you for sharing that. In case anybody here can relate to this, I feel called to say, I'm aware of that, right? I've looked for it myself and thought this should exist, and resisted, like, who am I to create that? And in fact, we're doing a small class in January, and one of the points that we're marketing around, or we're developing the idea around, is if you're not saying who am I to, you're probably playing a little too small at this time.
Oh, I like that.
Just full disclosure, I have that conversation, right? Like, darn it, why me? Do I really? But yeah, with my background as an engineer, and then my personal heart and passion for transformation and intuition and magic, like they have to go together. As much as sometimes that's a harder path.
It is, it is absolutely. It is a harder path to do them both together well, because they can feel like different energies. But I think that's because we've been doing business in the old way, so it feels like a different energy.
So true.
And the other thing I just love to acknowledge about you as well, Darla, is your truth speaking and how transformational that is. Both as a role model for authentic visibility, and as transformational coach that just kind of goes there as well. You just model this deep trust in your knowing in a way that's very courageous and very transformational, and I really just appreciate that, the power of that, even if sometimes I resist it at the same time.
Don't we though?
So so I could really vouch for you, and I know, Darla, you're going to be telling us about the Shift the Field live retreat before we finish. It was totally life-changing for me. But I'd love to start with how you got started in this work. So going from recovering engineer to becoming a transformational coach and the founder of Sourced, how did you end up where you are?
So I need to go back to corporate. I was a chemical engineer and I was working for a Fortune 20 company, Procter & Gamble. I'm sure people have heard of it. And I thought I had made it. Like I was, living the dream because I had this good job. I had gotten a good degree. I had gotten out of my small town and I was making it in life. And it was really, really fun until it wasn't. And around the time I started getting a little antsy about it, I was nominated to take this training to be a coach. And in the company, they brought different people from different levels of the organization together to become basically diversity coaches. So you would get in a room with two people who had just started reporting to one another, and there'd be two coaches who kind of mirrored those two people in this reporting relationship. And the goal was to get the truth out on the table. Basically for people to state what biases they might have about that person before they become entrenched patterns. And so it was really, I think, still cutting edge. This was many years ago. And in the training, we had to actually own our own truth about our biases, about race, gender, sexual orientation, and age. And we did these exercises to help us explore what was true for us or what biases or filters we had. And in that training, it was like, I call it the punch in the gut moment, where it was like, oh, this is all happening for me. Like I needed to be in this training. This is my purpose, right? I looked around the room and I'm like, why does everybody not know this? This idea that we have filters that are affecting how we show up and how we interact with people. It was like brand new news to me. And I thought, why doesn't everybody know this? Yes. And so that really became the seed of doing this work. And it took me some time. You work with people on visibility, so I know you'll totally get this. I was terrified. Like, really, who am I to? I was young at that time, and I had no concept of how to run a business. But really, like in my soul, I knew my calling, but I was way scared to step into it. So it took me, almost 10 years.
Wow. And I love that it started with that truth speaking, revealing the truth. Beautiful.
Yeah. As I think about it now, it was almost like, this is who you are, right? Yeah. It was able to reach me somehow in corporate, which was amazing.
Yeah. Beautiful. And so, and how did you get from there to this concept of sourced? Because, I love that whole idea of sourced and source leaders.
So when I left my corporate job and I taught high school, and when I was teaching high school, I had this experience. I don't know if you've ever had this, where I was equally annoyed at the people I worked with there as I was in corporate, which is like, okay, this is probably my problem. I'm just kidding, because the people are very different. And so I got some additional training and coaching and went on retreats and did a whole curriculum of personal development. And I finally, I started to realize I was bringing myself everywhere I go. And so again, my passion for this work is increasing as I watched myself transform and watched the results I had and the experience I had in the same job totally transform. But eventually I knew that wasn't my place, right? So I was building my confidence, but I knew that wasn't my place. To show up every day at 7 a.m. to the same place was not for me. And that's when I really knew I wanted to start this business. It's like my stepdad died suddenly young, and I thought, nothing is guaranteed. And I need to find out if I can actually do this work that I've known, that I was here to do for a long time. And so that training that I had gotten was all about who are you being in the world? And I know you understand this language, but it really is the language of energy.
Yeah.
Right? Who you're being matters more than what you're doing. And so I really got that in my cells. And, when I say that, Rionach, what's the language that you use in your community around that, around energy?
Well, I think it's, to really be what I talk about is being deeply connected to yourself, to source, and from there to others. So it's this kind of like connection, you know it, you feel it.
Yeah.
So like when you're being, that's for me what visibility is all about, that deep connection to yourself, to a greater field, and to others. And there's symbol that I've got behind me that I created when I started my business kind of represents that connection in, and that deep connection to what's bigger than us, and then to show up and connect with others from there.
I love that. Yeah. So I had started to learn this, and I didn't know how to run a business at all, but I knew that this idea felt like truth to me. Who you're being is more important than what you're doing. Yeah. And that was kind of the message I wanted to spread. Like when I learned it, I was, again, it was like, oh my gosh, why doesn't everybody know this? This is amazing. This is a light bulb moment. And so that's what I started my coaching business on. I didn't have, I was basically a career coach in the beginning, helping people figure out what they were really meant to do. But what I was marketing is energy, right? Like, let's get your energy in alignment so that whatever you're doing, you're more effective.
Yeah.
And I loved it, right? I would go networking, and I was terrified, by the way, of visibility. I stood up and I would shake. Like, I was the person in high school when you had to give a speech, I would shake through it so much that my best friend got sick watching me. Like, that was me.
That was me too.
Just to paint a picture.
That's good
to
know.
Was it?
Me too. Oh, totally. I was like, yes.
Oh.
It was like the very last thing I ever wanted to do.
Yes. Yeah. So I would stand up and I would say, God knows what coming out of my mouth, but people would still come up to me and ask if they could work with me because I was in alignment with what I knew I could help people with. And I was 100% clear about that, even though I wasn't good at saying an elevator pitch, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I grew my business in the beginning.
Beautiful.
I started getting into coaching and training and learning all the things, all the right things to do. And I felt like I had a state, like a lot of the things worked, Rionach. I was, growing my business. And I feel like I got a little further and further away from the core of what I really wanted to talk about, right? That I knew was the reason I got into business.
Yeah. And that's what I was talking about earlier, that the transformation and the business stuff it has got a different energy in some ways,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would, I've never said this or thought this before, but really I gave myself a whole, decade of study in how to bring the energy into the marketing. Just even in watching myself, what I did, to be honest, is I did everything I was being told to do. And then I also did all the things that my soul wanted me to do, which was a lot of things. I was doing a lot of things, right? But I also, gratefully, because I was really, good student, do it right. I was afraid not to do the things I was being told to do.
Yeah.
But I really had a lot of years of study around what worked better.
Yeah.
And it really was the things that were birthed from within that were super clear. Now I would call it source.
Yes.
But where my intuition was really at work, and I was very connected to my clients, myself, the conversation I wanted to have, what I intuited they wanted. Those things were like fire. Right. And the things I was doing because I should, and I was getting in my head and trying to get the formula right, not as fun and not as effective.
Beautiful.
So there's somewhere in between, you know, learning the things is great, but the being is so important.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So I'll just say one other thing. So I focused in on working with retreat leaders at a certain point, because my clients would come to retreat with me. I've always done a lot of work on retreat, and they would ask, you know, how do I have a business like yours? And so I developed a lot of work around training retreat leaders, which retreat leaders want to create transformation.
Yeah.
And before that, I was more general business. So I might work with, you know, an accountant or a chiropractor, or, you know, who just wanted to do more of that. And focusing in on retreat leaders kind of opened this whole world of really developing expertise at marketing, selling, and delivering transformation. So that's been an amazing journey. And it's just since COVID that I, you know, birthed the Sourced brand. As the retreats kind of, obviously, we still are having some issues around retreats, right?
Yes, but what an amazing thing to come out of, you know, this you know, challenging situation in the world, that you birth all this magic.
Really is good timing.
So beautiful. So I'd love to, and what an amazing journey. But I'd love, you know, sourced visibility, you know, because you've got such a deep expertise in business and in that business coaching, which I really respect, and all of this, you know, exploring and experimenting with sourced as well. Yeah. So, you know, I know you could teach for a whole year on this, but you know, if you're talking about how could, you know, somebody fundamentally shift, you know, how we attract clients, you know, what's the shift there from the business model doing all the things, busy work, to this more sourced approach to showing up? Yeah.
So the main thing I'll speak to is energy. And I've got a lot of various trainings on energy, but I distill it down, and it's in the book, can distill down to two types: default energy and sourced energy. And so if we can become really good at knowing what our default is, and then who we're being, right? Energy is who we're being. It's a vibration. I think, you know, you're masterful at people's vibration. When we can really be aware of who we're being or the energy we're in, that's how we need to evaluate our results. So if we take an action, right, the doing, but our being is off, the result's not going to be great. And you know, people all the time will say, well, I did that. I tried that. I did all the steps and it didn't work, but they haven't addressed the energy first. And so, you know, I have so many experiments over the years. For years, I ran Facebook ads to promote my Retreat and Grow Rich course and retreat. And I would have the same ads running, same audiences. They're working. Something would happen for me where my energy was like, I don't want clients right now, or my energy's off in some way. And the ads would stop working. Nothing changed, right? Yeah. And then I would go through whatever and clear it, and then they'd start working again.
Yeah. Wow.
And so this isn't, you know, good, bad, right, or wrong. And the bigger your business grows, the more your personal energy is removed from that. And it's like your team's energy. But that being said, as, you know, a service-based entrepreneur, your energy is the heart of your business. So the default basically has to do with past ways of being that we've created that make us feel safe and make us feel in control. So something happened somewhere in the past and we decided to survive it. I'm going to be smart, or I'm going to be funny, or I'm going to hide, right? Probably a lot of people here, right, is like, oh, here's how I'll survive. I'm going to hide. I relate to that. I definitely had that. You know, and then there's this beautiful art between how do I be helpful and of service and a good girl and also hide. Yes. I'm guessing
that, right? I'm an Irish Catholic, so I got that strongly.
but that's default, right?
Yeah.
And so we feel safe because we have a really good sense based on all the years of testing it out, that if I show up in this way, right, if I'm helpful and I'm nice and I'm sweet, but nobody sees me and I'm not, too intrusive, then I will survive.
Yeah.
I'll make enough money. I will not die. I won't put anyone out. Nobody will get upset. But the results are also limited.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Your sourced energy, that's when you're, like your logo, right? That's when you're tuned in, when you're connected to an energetic expression that's alive for you. And I feel like this is really important for people to understand, that your sourced energy isn't always the same. It's not like Rionach is one person all the time. You're always because we're works in progress.
Yeah.
We're in transformation continually. And in fact, when you know how to work with the energy of transformation, you have more energy available all the time, because these default energy patterns, they literally get stuck in our field, right? So say it's like hide under the stairs when mom and dad are fighting, right? And say it's stuck right here. When we can release that, we can work with it, and it can transmute itself into something that's going to really fuel your business.
Yes.
So this isn't about getting all perfect. It's about knowing how to work with things as they come up.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
So in a sourced energy, right? Like we might say, oh, I'm creating the energy of, I'll tell you that one of mine currently is being celebrated.
Yes.
And that's a way of being, right? And this has been my sourced energy I've been working with this year. And everything, every person, every situation in my life that doesn't feel consistent with that has fallen away.
Wow. That's really powerful. Yeah, I love that. And so, transformation, and, I love what you're saying about clearing energy. It's a lot of what I do. And a lot of people I work with, they offer powerful transformation, as coaches, as leaders, but they're less confident then to know how to sell or promote their transformation and share their magic. So I'd love to hear what you've got to say about how to sell, to share, to speak about your transformation with confidence, and why this matters. How would the world change if more of us were better at this?
Oh, I don't know. You're just inspiring me so much with these questions, because that really is the heart of what matters to me. Well, first of all, I was an engineer where I got paid really well. I was a school teacher where I got paid less well, right? And it's like when I became a coach, I felt pretty clear I was going to be broke. And I was comfortable with that. I was like, okay, I'm going to martyr myself for my work. But in our society, right, we are so accustomed to paying for something like engineering, right, or tech stuff, right? And we're not accustomed to paying for keeping our beingness alive and clear and clean. And so I would really like to change that, first of all, which means we have to learn to talk about this and own it, right? Even take it out of being marketing yourself and think about, I am like a living, walking, breathing marketing campaign for transformation.
I love that.
Because so many people are stuck and they don't know that all they need to do is shift the field, right? Shift their energy, and like all the possibilities show up. And people don't know this.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's the first tip is, make it not personal. You're actually supporting someone. So I will, debating, pulling out my flip chart, Rionach. I'm just going to go, okay. So there's 3 stages of transformation. And this is what I'm so excited about, helping people to understand the structure so they can design programs around it. So then they feel confident marketing it because they know it really delivers. And they're not afraid to like talk about the outcomes, the transformational outcomes that they get. So there's 3 stages of what I call the anatomy of a transformation. Commitment, I know you know this, commitment, the sourced experience, and integration.
Yeah.
And what happens, when people are less confident about sharing about transformation, is they're kind of unsure, what do I share and when? And I don't know if you've experienced this, but it's like, do I tell you about, how in one session I have you lay down and we, feel your energy? Like, do I tell you that in the beginning?
Yeah.
Or not? Do I talk about, at the other side of this, you'll have freedom, you'll love yourself, right? You'll feel vibrant and alive. Or do I talk about, I'm going to help you quit your job? It's like, there's so many different ways you can approach it and talk about it. So what I want, the one piece I want to focus on here, and obviously we're going to go into more depth at Shift the Field Live in February. We have 3 days to like dive into this and practice and everything.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
But the commitment piece, that really is your sales and marketing.
Yeah.
And so what are you helping people commit to? You want to help people commit to their own transformation.
Yeah.
And so the way that you want to do that is help them get very present to their desire and or their own discomfort with where they are.
Yeah.
Now, we're not trying to poke the pain or make anybody feel bad, right? We are walking around, we're walking discomfort as humans, right? No matter, like, I just went to the gym this morning. I joined a new gym. I'm very excited about it. And then, it's painful. I had to find, how the parking works and go to the new place and then actually work out. And my body is sore, right?
Yes.
We're like, we don't have to manufacture discomfort or anything like that. We're just helping people get present to what's there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times in the marketing, we're telling so much, we're giving so much information before someone's in commitment to actually their transformation. And so I like to share it like this. When I was, from the time I was, hit with that truth bomb when I was working as an engineer to when I started my business, I read hundreds of self-help books, trying to figure out what to do with my life, even though I knew. Because every time I read a book, it was through this filter, the default energy filter. I have to be smart to get love. And by the way, I also have to hide and never have an opinion.
That's hard to create a business and know what you're here to do.
So I would read the book. And it would say, like, literally, you could go back and read all the books and they would totally point to this career. They were spot on, but I couldn't receive it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I was an engineer. I went to school to get a smart degree. And so no matter how much information someone gave me, like I went and interviewed people in all different careers, and no matter how much information people gave me, it made no difference because that was in the way.
Yeah. The energy was in
the way.
Yeah.
And so as we're marketing transformation, we have to know this. It's not going to be the head information that's going to make someone want to shift. It's being actually present to what's so in their life. So if you can, work toward creating opportunities, whether it could be virtually through video or worksheets or whatever, it could be live, but creating an opportunity for people to get present to the discomfort.
Yeah.
Or get present to the desire.
Yeah. So that's where are you? Where do you want to be? And what's the gap here as well?
Exactly. And I would say, for people listening, I'll just demonstrate because I think that's always better, right? Experiential is always better.
Yeah.
So for everybody listening, when you think about, you're here with Rionach, you want to be visible. you have a message that matters. You have magic. We haven't gotten into the magic, but you have a way in which you're able to see things, put words to things, put experiences to things that other people can't.
Yeah.
And that's what drew you to this work.
Absolutely.
And so you know the power of what you want to bring to the world, what you're bringing to the world, and then you're holding it back.
Mm.
And so just take a minute, I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
Like, what does that feel like to know that you know what you're here to do, that you have that path, that you have that magic, that you can see things that other people can't? And then to know that you're limiting your reach.
Mm.
And you might be limiting your reach because you don't know how.
Mm.
And you might be limiting your reach because if you knew how, you'd be really scared.
Yeah.
And just notice, what would it be like to actually put yourself out there as you, as the real you, fully you, embodied?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can feel the, both the excitement and the, the nervous tension around that edge. Yeah, that edge.
Yeah. And just notice where you feel it in your body.
Yeah.
I feel like a pull from my sacral, feeling like really, really excited.
Yeah.
And I'm not feeling a lot of resistance in this moment. Obviously, I'm showing up being interviewed, right? But I can feel how there's a pattern of the sacral says yes, and the heart goes, ooh, ooh, yes. Let's stay safe.
I feel that push-pull as well in my solar plexus. It's like, that's part of me is so excited to show up, and other part is like, ooh, is it safe?
Yeah.
To be out there. And I did a photo shoot on Monday, which was coming out at the next level, and just that's just an example of what you're talking about, is showing up with the magic at the next level. And probably put off booking that for a bit longer than I needed to, and then also notice the up level in commitment and transformation from stepping into it, from doing it. So it's like, okay, what am I called to do? And taking those steps.
I'm so glad you gave that specific example, because when we think about offering transformation, let's just think about a photographer.
Yeah.
Right. And so if whoever's listening, map on your own service. We work with service-based entrepreneurs, right, to add transformation. So there's a lot of service-based entrepreneurs who are naturally magical. Yes. Meaning it's in your field, and you speak vibration, so you could even talk about it better. It's like it's in your field that people sense that there's something about you that they can trust, that you can help them, that you can work with this energy, whether you're as a service provider. Like when I was a coach, when I started as a coach, I was asking questions in the head. I was not even, the body wasn't involved, right? I'm an engineer. I got a coach. I'm like, okay, mindset. So I'm asking all these questions, but people were coming for the transformation. Mm-hmm. As a photographer, someone can be a photographer who is taking beautiful photos, right? And they have you show up and they say, bring 6 outfits and we're going to take photos. And I've had those photo shoots. And then I've had creating the commitment that this is a transformational experience. Mm-hmm. And then there's the knowing that you're going to move through what I call the sourced experience. Yeah. During this photo shoot. Mm. Okay, there's 3 stages of the sourced experience: release, receive, rise. Release, control, receive truth, rise in the new energy. So you can probably map that on to your experience with your shoot.
Yeah, totally.
Which is some shit's going to go down to make you release control. Like, oh, all the outfits I thought I needed to look the way I think I should look, like maybe something falls apart with that.
Well, it's 2 degrees. It feels like -1. I'm keeping my jeans on.
There you go.
Whatever I'm wearing.
Exactly. Yeah. So then whatever your preconceived notion about how I'm going to control how I look goes out the window.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, obviously I'm going to look, I don't know, chubby because I have my jeans on under everything. And so how do I make my energy project so that that's irrelevant?
Yeah.
So receive that truth of how you need to show up and rise and get, and you get it captured in photos. So if someone isn't aware of this and they're a photographer and people are coming to them, the release stage, they're having meltdowns all the time, right? Because that might be part of release, a natural part of release. But if that person doesn't know that, they're going to think, well, these people are a pain in the ass and this is too difficult and I need a new career.
Yes.
And right, like people are throwing out careers, business models, all these ideas, they're giving up on them because they're not aware, oh, actually, I'm holding space for transformation. And the photo is just a byproduct of that.
Oh, I love that. And I love that example. I mean, my photographer is a transformational expert as well as a photographer, but there's many people who would have that gift, but don't know how to hold space for it. And I think even you're sharing things that would take it even deeper. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I'm aware of time. We could talk about this all day, but I'd love to talk about shift to field. I've done shift to field. I've done Source Magic Business, and you're certified source leader. So just, can you share details of your upcoming retreat? And I'm also going to say, for anyone watching, please put in any questions or any comments that you've got for Darla. We've got Jenny here loving the conversation.
Hi, Jenny. So Shift the Field Live is happening in February. It's the 17th to the 19th.
Yeah.
It is live, but on Zoom. So, we're still honoring travel restrictions and all of that. We have a global audience. And so we set up a stage and we have a video crew. And so it's very, professionally done, but we are doing the entire content on Zoom. We've got breakouts, we've got, different sessions you can sign up for. And the event itself is all about creating what I call transformation confidence. And, even to come back to what you said about marrying the business and the inner work, which, I've been doing forever. Yeah. It is a lot of times people think, oh, I need, one of our most watched YouTube videos is don't hire messaging help. Because people often come in and they're like, I need help with my messaging, right? I want the exact perfect thing to say. So people know what I do, they get it, and they, say yes. However, a lot of times it's not really messaging. You know this. It's confidence.
Yes.
Like when I went networking and I said whatever came out of my mouth and it was all jumbled and it made no sense. And I sat down and the little voice in my head was like, what did you just say? That's so embarrassing. And then people would come up and say, I need to work with you, because the confidence was there. Like I knew I could help people, even if I didn't know how to say the right words. I knew I could help people. And when we start with that, and then we kind of get in this world of learning all these things, and we actually lose confidence.
Yeah, that's true.
Am I doing it right? Can I, all this good advice. And so our goal is to help develop that. So the first day we go over the anatomy of a transformation, and we really become familiar with how to shift the field, how to help someone go from default energy to sourced energy. That's the foundation. Day 2, we are talking vibration. So I'm super excited, Rionach. I think you'll really love it.
Yes.
We'll definitely have to find a way for you to get some visibility there, talking about vibration.
I'm definitely going to be there. It's in the diary. I'm coming.
Yes. So we're looking at some of the things that we've historically done in marketing that maybe actually keep lower vibrations in place.
Mm.
And how do we bring storytelling and languaging to our marketing that invites people into a new vibration?
Yeah. Oh,
We're going to dig into that on day 2. Day 3 is all about cultivating commitment. And that's really that first stage of marketing and sales where really, I mean, that's how you have a business, right? Is through the marketing sales, which is cultivating commitment. So we're going to do a whole day on that. So the content is different than last year, but equally magical and with the same foundations.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So 17th to 19th of February on Zoom, and there's a discounted rate available as well, isn't there?
Yes, up until the end of the year, December 31st. And also, just since it's early December right now, the earlier you get your ticket, you will also get entered into a series of raffles. So we're doing a drawing every week in December. So everyone who buys a ticket gets included in all of the weekly drawings.
Oh, fantastic. What amazing. And I know it's incredible, what you offer for the price that you offer. It really is so profound. And I know, I've done really good transformational training. I've been doing transformational training for 25 years. I trained as a transformational coach and facilitator with feminine power, and some of what I felt was some of the best transformational training available. And I am learning so much from this as well. It's like, wow, there's such clarity. And I love how it's, both really simple and potent, and it brings in the business as well as the transformation magic as well, all into one. So yeah, amazing.
I know I was trained to keep them separate in a way, right? I would go to things where I would learn, sales, for example, but they'd never say, what are you selling? Right? It's just like, just sell the thing. And they were separate, but they really aren't separate. Like your business model isn't separate from your expertise as a transformational leader. Your marketing isn't separate from the transfer, because it's the first step of the transformation. And so when we try to do them separate, it feels off for people. It feels clunky.
Beautiful. So I love this. So we've covered so much. We didn't talk so much about magic, but I might have to get you back in. I know I'm going to talk about your magic quiz another time, so we might come back to a deeper topic. But just to share with people, it's in the book and it'll be in the retreat as well, that there are these different types of magic. We've been talking about vibration and bringing those in. I know for me, that's really helped. Another tool for me to kind of really own, this is what I do, and it's really valuable, and not everybody can do this. Yes. So I love that as well. So any final thoughts before we wrap up, Darla?
Well, I would say I just want to acknowledge the audience because they're in such an amazing spot. You are so talented and you're holding such a big space and such a big vision for people in your sphere. So, just everybody watching, pat yourself on the back because you've made a good choice to be in this group and to follow Rionach. And when we are in a place for transformation, right? When we have something, a default that's in our way, we can go it alone, right? And the sourced experience, which is stage 2 of transformation, will show up in your life. Some shit will hit the fan to force transformation, right? Because we're here to grow. Or you can get support. So get support for your transformational journey. It's so much more fun. It's so much smoother. Rionach is an excellent choice for that support, right? She is masterful at this work and really being able to hold that space. We also deliver that at Shift the Field. We're in a big group context there, but we do a lot of breakouts and a lot of things to make it intimate. Our goal is 111 attendees, just like last year. So a little bit bigger container, but equally potent.
It's so potent. I mean, in my experience on Shift the Field in May, it really touched on such a deep place that I'd been there for so long, this kind of I'm not enough pattern that came up. And I could feel it just kind of like reached down inside me and was just kind of going, I'm done with this. It was mega, kind of awake all night and just kind of really up against it. And I remember coming through the other side, kind of going, actually, I am, and I can trust myself, and it's enough, and I'm really going to go for it. So it was mega. So those 3 days were incredibly potent and powerful for me. So I would really encourage anybody who's feeling drawn to that, and especially at the price. Honestly, it's an incredible.
All that for $111.
Yeah, it's amazing. You could be charging 10 times that easily, and it would still be great value. So beautiful. Thank you so much for this conversation. And
thank you. Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah. And for everybody, leave some comments there. Jenny's saying thank you, such a powerful interview. And anybody who's watching the replay, just type in replay, leave your questions. And
I'm over in the group too. So
yeah, and Darla will respond to your questions as well. So we will see you in there. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.